Hey Runner Gang. Today's video we're going to hop on and talk about how to assess foot and ankle mobility. We'll talk about a few different tests you can do, and you'll have a corresponding video that can talk about a good warm-up and maybe a good mobility drill that you can get going on to start enhancing your runs a little bit more. Let's get into it. Alright, so for the first test, we'll kind of start with the easiest one of the more common ones that we typically look at in the clinic and that you can do very easily at home. It's ankle dorsiflexion. Essentially what that is here is you're just going to see my knee travel over my foot like so. That is called ankle dorsiflexion. You can also think about it in terms of bringing your toes towards your shin. So that's actively. This is passively measuring it. Okay? So what you can do is use a wall. I'm here in front of my door. This is where I usually measure everybody's ankle range of motion. I usually set the guidelines about 4 to 6 inches. And so you can use a tape measure and kind of lay a line down. You want your foot behind that. Another way to do it is you can think, I'm going to make a fist and then 2 fingers, and then my toes will go behind that. Okay? That would be about 4 inches. If you were to do 6, I usually go long ways with my fists like so, and then again another 2 fingers. Okay? So I'll put my foot behind it like so. You can do it in what's called a half kneeling position like so. And what I'm going to do is my objective here is to have my knee travel to the middle or the outside part of my foot, and it's going to go straight towards the door. Okay? The goal in mind here, and you can kind of see it, I don't want to rotate my hips. I'm going to kind of keep everything nice and parallel with the door. This would be twisting, so it kind of gives you a little bit more leeway. Another thing that I typically see is some people have their knee track towards the inside part of their foot. That's going to give you a little bit more flexibility because your arch is going to collapse. And you'll notice like, oh wow, I can get a lot more range out of that. We're trying to see what true ankle dorsiflexion is. Now everybody's built differently, but just to set some guidelines or some baselines, if you will, that's inherently how we're gonna do this, okay? So again, I can be here. I can also be up like so, and same rules apply. I'm just gonna take my knee towards the middle or outside part of my foot, towards the door. Okay, you're going to check both sides. You can record yourself like this and just make note of any like tightness or restrictions that you might feel between left versus right. That's going to give you the best indication of what you need to work on. So another one you guys can do that's pretty easy, same position, is we're going to look at great toe extension. When we talk about the great toe, we're talking about the biggest toe. And when we talk about extension, essentially we're seeing how high can this puppy get off the ground, okay? So that's active. Right now I'm trying to lift it up towards the ceiling. And then if I wanted to check passive, I would lift it like so. You're gonna see a closer angle in the video that's right by this, just to kind of get a gauge for what this looks like. I know it's a little far away. You can measure it in, like I said, active, where I'm lifting it myself. I'll be honest, this takes a little bit of practice just to be able to isolate that movement. And then to check passive, I would just lift up and see what the difference is between my active and my passive. We tend to say that that space in between is your potential for injury a little bit. Think about it more just in terms of that's how we want to train, or the area that we want to train towards, okay? Hope you enjoyed this one. We're also going to look at plantar flexion as well, so let's take a look at that one. All right guys, so another way we can check plantar flexion is in an open chain concept here like so. Basically open chain just meaning it's not in contact with the ground. I'll be honest with you, this one, not a huge amount of information we're gonna get out of this. It's more about just like tightness and tissue and tension that you're gonna get out of this one. I'm gonna show you from 2 different angles. You're seeing me from my feet up. I'm gonna show you from head down as well in the side video here. All I'm gonna do here is I'm just sitting with my legs out like so, and I'm going to do both feet at the same time first. I'm just gonna point them as far forward as I can, like so. And I'm just gonna note again what I feel between the two. My left one feels a little looser pointing this one, whereas my right one I feel a little bit more tension along kind of the outside portion of my foot. You can do this individually as well. So I may just do my right side, hold it, and then I can do my left side and see, can I get a little bit further? They're really about the same as far as the range goes, and if it is different, it's minutia. But you can kind of see from the side profile here that you can get a top-down view too. Again, this one for me is more about just what are you feeling, as opposed to the measurements, because most of the time they're going to be relatively the same. I would much rather see this in the closed chain assessment, aka the calf raise, which you're going to see next. Just a lot more of a valid test, especially for sports specificity, dealing with runners. So let's take a look at that one, and we'll wrap things up. All right, so the next one that we're going to look at is basically what we call closed chain plantar flexion testing. It's a calf raise. The reason we call it closed chain is your feet are just in contact with the ground, so it gives us a little bit more of a better description of what your plantar flexion looks like in weight bearing, because clearly that's going to be way more descriptive of what that looks like when you're running as compared to when you're not running. Clearly we want to see what it looks like when you're running. So let's do this. You're gonna kind of see me out of the frame. It's a really easy test. Basically the camera angle, you can just look at it like so. We're gonna do two different versions with 2 feet, and then also looking at it 1 foot, I guess. So comparing left versus right. All we're looking for here is I want you to think max height in your calf raise, and then we're also gonna hold that top portion of the range, okay? Let's get to it. So I'm just gonna have my feet like so. I hope you guys can hear me okay. And I'm gonna have my feet about shoulder width apart. I'm going to have my fingertips on the door just to give me a little bit of balance. My main thing here is I want us to think straight up, okay? So one thing you may notice is when you tend to start getting more fatigued in the calf with calf raises, you may notice that we tend to kind of bow out like so. That can sometimes load a lot more of the peroneal area. So this might be why you guys may be fighting with outer shin pain or ankle pain or stuff like that. Okay, so again, I'm going as high as I can, and I'm gonna hold that. That'll be my shot as far as the camera angle to see how high do I get with 2 feet. And then we're gonna measure it independently with 1 foot versus the other. So here is my right foot. And again, I'm just gonna hold that. So I'm going as high as I possibly can. And then we'll do the left foot. And I can tell just based on me doing my left side feels a lot more like it's working a lot harder to get up in that spot. And I kind of feel like it's almost cramping to a degree. And I typically, like between the two sides, I usually have more problems with my left side than my right side. So you make a note of something like that, and that's going to be something that you're gonna work on whenever you're doing some of your ankle drills as far as exercises and stuff like that. I think that's about all I've got on that. Hope you guys enjoyed these tests. Really not too hard. You can do them yourself and make notes of what you find. And it's just gonna make your life a lot easier as far as some of the interventions that you're gonna provide to make sure that you have less injuries when you're moving forward with your runs. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, do all that kind of fun stuff, and we'll check you later. Happy running.